Welcome back, video creeps. A brand new episode of Chucky that just dropped, and with brand new episodes means brand new opinions. That's why you click this video, because either you didn't watch it yourself and you come here for the spoilers, in which case I appreciate you. That's really cool. Or you watched it yourself and you just want to know what I thought, because I am a massive Chucky fan. There's a community right here. So thank you for clicking on this video and hanging out. Make sure you like the video while I play this intro, and then we'll get right into it. First and foremost, I have to talk about the previously on Chucky, because I feel like that really plays into this specific episode this season. Literally everything that we saw from that was from Seed of Chucky, which makes a ton of sense once you watch this episode. And almost like they knew that they couldn't just throw us into an episode like this. They did this really clever thing where they made Chucky a host, because this is not a very Chucky heavy episode, which is funny because in one of my last episode reviews, I spoke about how they cram Chucky into every episode, no matter what. This episode, the meat of the episode, there's not Chucky. I mean, we got some Nika Chucky going on and shit, but to see the actual doll, there's not a whole lot of them. But they figured it out. They figured out a way to fucking make him in the show, and through this host thing, it's vaguely sitcom-y, and that was really funny. I love how the show is not afraid to get meta, and it's not even a brand new phenomenon for this franchise and shit. We saw that on the special features, if you're deep like that. We saw that in the special features with fucking Seed of Chucky. Just Seed of Chucky itself is super self-referential. There's that great segment with the family photos where they kill the pizza man and shit. It's they know what they're doing. So to have Chucky be the host of this, that was fun. God, what a good call. Now, this episode picks up with Glenn and Glenda on their 18th birthday, which I wanted to do that math. If at the end of Seed, Glenn and Glenda are 5, and then we pick up with them on another birthday where they turned 18, was that legitimately how much time has passed between the two? What did that movie come out 2006? 2005? Ha! Math! I did it! They are 18. So this is exactly how much time has passed since Seed of Chucky. Woo! Love pocket computers. For two characters that I've been curious about how they were going to be portrayed from the Glenn and Glenda that we saw in Seed of Chucky to now. Man, I think they did a bang up job. I like how Glenn is still a little kind of shy and a little twitchy. They're exactly how I would imagine that character to be at the age of 18. I felt like that portrayal was very true to the character of who we already have grown to love. Over time, I know there's still people who they won't do it. But we also finally got to sink our teeth into the kind of character that Glenda would be. And Glenda feels very much like what the fans always wanted a child of Chucky to be. They're a little bit more sinister. They're more willing to do kind of the more nefarious things that Glenn is kind of I don't know if we should do that. I don't know. I got bad feelings. I got bad ones. What a dope way to appease both camps for all the people who actually loved Glenn and loved to see the return of Glenn, but then also appease all the people who wanted this more aggressive Chucky child. I thought that was a really cool way to go about that. Now, if you're like me, there is the question of well, Glenda did see Tiffany kill somebody when she was 5 years old, so why isn't that addressed? Why wouldn't she remember that? And they did a funny little thing in this episode where they kind of almost touch on that, where now Glenn and Glenda kind of have these memories that they don't know if they're real or not. They kind of vaguely remember shitface and some of the events of Seed, but they don't remember the whole thing. They don't understand why they don't feel whole. That was a big thing with these characters. That came up a lot, is that they don't feel complete. And that got me wondering, is that because we're going to get a return of the Glenn doll? That is the root. That is where they came from, right? So if they're missing this third part of them, essentially, that makes them both feel complete, I can't imagine that it's not that. I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing that Glenn doll again. I never had a problem with Glenn. Don't get me wrong, Seed of Chucky, that's been harder to watch, because just by comparison, the other films are better, right? That's a safe way to say that. But the design of the Glenn doll, I've never had any kind of issue with. I would love to see this Glenn and Glenda come across that doll and be huh, that feels on the nose, pretty non-binary, that one. Because that Glenn doll does still exist, though we've never seen it anywhere. Their souls are out the doll. So where's the Glenn doll? I don't know, but I'm willing to bring that back into the fold in some capacity. God, imagine if both of their souls go back into the Glenn doll, and like it's just this crazy, like how we saw at the end of Seed of Chucky. That'd be fun. I'm into that. There's also a really great reference to Seed of Chucky in this too, where Glenn is sitting there and he goes, "We wouldn't even hurt a fly." It was like, that's from the movie. Now, that's not the only super weird and interesting thing that happens with this episode. It's very unique. This is like the standout episode thus far. And I only say that because it's so out of the realm of everything that we've already known. We really take a deep dive into Tiffany. But not only Tiffany, it's like the world that she now has to masquerade in as Jennifer Tilly. And boy, did they step up to that plate. There were so many cameos in this thing. One of which was Jennifer Tilly's real life sister, Meg Tilly, who, boy, she was a cute little thing in Psycho 2. If you're one of those people who have only seen Psycho 1, but not 2 or 3, or like, I don't really defend 4 like that, you should, because they're wonderful. Part of me got really excited because I was like, oh, I touched on Tiffany Valentine having a sister. Haha, I win. If you haven't seen it, I did this whole video just talking about like an analysis of Tiffany Valentine and just really broke down her character to my own best ability. If you haven't seen that, I will try to figure out how to tag it in this video, maybe like with the little sticky thing up here, or like just at the end of this video. I know how to put it at the end, so look for it at the end. But then I realized that wouldn't be Tiffany Valentine's sister, technically. That would be Jennifer Tilly's sister, her real life sister, which again, staying with that meta thing, like it's fun. She's like, you haven't spoken to me since that fucking movie came out. What was that about? It's like 24 years or like however long she said, but like, oh, great. And she's not the only one. There's like a little Bound like reunion in this movie as well, where like we get Ralphie from fucking Sopranos. He's back in this, and like, oh, awesome. I love seeing that guy. I loved him on Sopranos, so like to see him then on this, and like of course he was in Bound. We got Gina Gershon back too, or Gershon. It was have a weird, my mouth just it gets stupid whenever I say her name. But that was fun too, and it was very like Bound-ish. Like there's some scenes in the bedroom where like it turns out that they've had like a flirtatious relationship all throughout these years, and they've been kind of like banging and shit. That was cool. I like the way that this episode came together, all peanut butter and jelly-ish. Even when the butler dies and Tiffany Valentine has to be like on her fucking toes, she's like, it's a murder mystery. I would not have thought of that, like in a pinch. Get the fuck out of here. There's no way I'm thinking about that shit. But it just plays. And again, just like how they've been giving Tiffany all the free reign that she has gotten in this entire like season, she just soars. She is so enjoyable in this episode. But even that feels like, I feel like I'm discrediting her in some way. Like just in general, her character in this TV show specifically has been so amazing. In this episode, since we zero in on her character, we get so much of her. She really hams it up, and it's just so wonderful. The Jennifer Tilly Tiffany Valentine dynamic, it's great. Now, as weird as this episode was, and like I said, I think they primed it great with Chucky being the host, there's also this weird like still touching onto base thing that's going on here, where like this very much feels like a sequel to Seed of Chucky. If you love Seed of Chucky, if that is your favorite, this feels like it could have been the sequel to what happens after that. Even without watching the other movies, I mean, there would still be like that Nika thing that's going on, so you would have had to watch the other movies. But majority of this thing is just a straight up sequel to Seed of Chucky, which I know people are going to groan at. People hate Seed of Chucky, people this, people that. But the fact of the matter is, it's a fun movie. And like watching this episode, I was nothing but smiles the whole time. I love seeing the dynamics between like Glenn and Chucky, like in the room together talking, like, you're my dad. Like that was great. I loved it. Like I said Glenn, I meant Glenda, you know what I mean. But even Glenn gets these great moments with Nika as well, where they're like, they don't know about Chucky. They don't know what happened. So like, even though yes, they should remember Chucky because of the events from Seed, I'm not mad that they don't. I like this storyline that they've built around them, not remembering and not knowing him. And now we get to go on the journey of them learning the truth about their parents. That's very intriguing to me. Then the ending of this episode, that whole like escape, like get Nika to get out of the house thing, that was wonderful. It was so thrilling. Then we get Nika has the like robot arms. Like I will accept anything that this show throws at me. But by far the biggest thing, and like it was fucking, they did it perfectly, because it was like, oh no, that was my experience with this, is we see Glenda pop on that hat, which a lot of us were like, oh, that's a Kyle hat. Like, something's gonna happen with Kyle. Glenda's gonna get that hat, and then we're gonna, Kyle's not dead. But then they just pop it on like unceremoniously. It's just like, oh, I thought we were gonna get a little bit of Kyle. But then Nika gets into like the Carrie van, and like they look away, and it's like, oh, that's Kyle right there. Wonderful. And then it all end caps again as if, like, okay, I love Chucky, obviously, but like, I didn't miss Chucky throughout this episode. Like, it was such a thrilling episode that I was just like, woo, I'm having fun. But never letting us down, we end with Chucky even still. And he kills like a WWE wrestler and shit, which is great. Like, that's one of those things that just, as a human being, makes me happy. I love to see when people want to do something that they love and that they have a passion for, and then they get to do that thing. It fills my heart up with so much joy and hope for the things that I want. This chick just like wanted to be killed by Chucky. She said it in the podcast. They show it in the episode, and it's this great lead up where they're like, oh, we got 10 fucks an episode. Chucky like plays the clip, and then he just kills her, and he just says fuck. He just gets his fuck's worth. Like, just outstanding. This was a highlight episode for me in the season. I've liked every episode so far, but this one was especially fun because it felt so playful. It felt so creative. And overall, I can't wait to watch this episode again. But what did you guys think of this episode? Let me know down in the comments below. And hit that notification bell so that way you know when I drop new stuff. That's going to be it for this episode. I'll see you guys next week. Peace, video creeps.